Every 26 seconds, another child drops out of an American public school. The cost of dropouts to our country in 2 years, the cost of 2 years of high school dropouts exceeds the cost of the most recent federal bailout.
The real dropout, as defined, is a kid who starts in 9th grade and then disappears. What I mean by disappears from the educational system. So we don't know, we meaning the school, you know, the Sacramento City Unified School District,
you've got no clue.
And the state, nobody knows what happens with that kid. So that guy or that person is technically dropped out of the educational system. That's a dropout.
So one of our issues at Kennedy, we recognize, is the freshman year is crucial. Students come in and they're not really prepared. They're not prepared for the kind of work they're going to be expected to do. They're prepared maybe for more give and take, like that there's going to be a lot of allowances given to them.
There's some serious factors there relative to 9th grade. Because within our system, it's A's and B's are important for you and your family, but they're not necessarily important for us. They are, but they're not. Because we're all on a credit system. Because you need X number of credits in certain categories to be able to graduate from high school.
There's 2 practical things they can do if they want to graduate from high school. And this isn't necessarily graduating as an academic scholar, but to walk across the stage, really, there's 2 things they need to do. One is attend every day, and the other is to do the work that they were asked to do. And if they do those 2 things, they're probably going to graduate from high school. So really, I think part of it comes down to why aren't students willing to do those 2 things?
Why do high schoolers drop out of school?
There's a lot of factors. One of them could be family, social type things.
It's not their fault, you know. Some don't have rides home, and
I think it's mostly that people just don't care. They don't think a high school education is going to take them anywhere.
Like a lot of the stuff that I don't really think I'll need in my everyday life.
It's not for them. They don't like school, and then they'd rather be doing something else.
If they don't got no high school diploma, and just that you being a high school dropout is going to be kind of bad for you, you probably end up at a McDonald's job or something, even if you can get that.
High school doesn't mean anything to them because they just want to do what they want to do, you know. But what they don't realize is that they need high school in order to do anything else in the world.
We need to train children and young people for what they want to be and not for what we think they should be. So if someone would like to be an electrician, we need a class about being an electrician.
I think the majority of the kids that aren't showing up for school probably don't want to go there because they have bad attendance to begin with, and they probably have a bad home life.
It's a shared blame, okay? And it certainly starts with, in my opinion, with the family. Because the parent is the most responsible person for that child.
Parents always tell me, well, my kid's in high school, I don't need to watch them as much. And I tell them just the opposite. When your kids are in high school, this is when you need to watch them the most.
Families may have come from poor backgrounds who didn't have education as a you know, they want their children educated, but they don't have the education themselves and don't understand what their kids are going through or how to push them through.
For example, our Hmong population needs help. Our Latino population subgroup needs help. Our Black population subgroup needs help. Not all of them, but there's a subgroup of them that live within a geographical area on the boundaries of Kennedy that need help.
There's not that stability in the household, so there's nobody really watching them. Mom or dad's working 2 jobs, and they're not doing what they're supposed to be doing, so therefore they get themselves behind. And that could be one, or they feel like some of the Hispanics, the older brothers and stuff, they feel like they have to be almost play the dad, so they go and get a job.
Parents who are much more affluent have much more political clout that want the best for the kids and demand for their kids. They will come down here and bang on my door because they want what they think their families and their kids deserve.
If there was more money, I think there would be more programs to help the kids, to ensure that the kids are getting the grades that they need and to feel that they have the tools to succeed.
Programs where we can get students involved so we can give students personal attention rather than just treating them like a number or part of a class.
We have to give them surrogate guidance. So if a student comes from a family and there's a single parent and that parent just isn't able to provide the kind of academic support that student needs, really, then if someone can come alongside them and help them, then it can make all the difference.
People think that, I'll use the example that when the student reaches high school, that we are going to prepare them for the next level. You can't. You can't put that on the next level. So in our system, though, kids are socially promoted because at the elementary and the middle school level, there are no end-of-course exams that they have to meet.
You don't have a lot of choice when you're in lower grade levels in middle schools and elementary schools, because you're left with the option of, if you don't socially promote a kid, for example, a 16-year-old kid, you'll have like a 16-year-old kid in middle school.
Rather than promote someone socially, they should be put in a program where they can be accelerated to catch up with their peers.
That perfect kid, right? If you look statistically, the perfect kid, did well in elementary school, did well in 9th grade. That means they didn't flunk 2 or more classes, was there at least 85% of the time or more, and had a family support system that helped them, telling them that it was really important.
There are students, by the way, there's a second group of students that don't graduate that are bored.
Too much emphasis is being put on just math and English, and not enough on what really makes a student a good individual.
One of our, actually, in my opinion, one of our primary problems is that at some point we decided that all students have to go to college. And we forgot that all students aren't the same, and that students have different gifts. Some may be inclined to do something with their hands that's not going to require a 4-year college degree, but we forgot about them.
There's some criticism that the No Child Left Behind Act has put too much emphasis on reading and mathematics, and so that children don't have the chance to get into the arts.
In the end, it meant that all students need to be functioning at an above average level, really.
They're telling us to do a lot of things, but then we don't have the funding to do any extra stuff they tell us to. So
the really wonderful part of education is what's left behind. The really fun stuff, really interesting things, the electives such as music and art.
Because at this school, at Kennedy High School, about 30%, actually a hair under 30% of our kids go on to directly to 4-year college. And yet we act like every single one of them is doing that. And so there's a lot of kids that aren't heading that direction, and yet we treat them like they are. So I even think our district is starting to recognize that and move in a little different direction. So that we recognize kids' strengths, whoever they are.